Welcome to Fresh Off the Stack. I'm Rob Young.
And I'm Michael MacBride, and we're the folks behind Bell Cow Productions.
This is the show where we shine a light on brand new books coming into the world.
And today we're talking with Joe Egan about his new book, Backwoods Crossing, a Jack Walker thriller that made its way into the world on April 28th.
So we'll talk about what the book's about, what makes it special, how it fits into the Jack Walker series, and what makes readers want to pick this up immediately.
Yeah. Welcome, Joe. Thanks so much for being here, and congratulations on another book. It is always a great day when a new book is in the world.
Michael and Rob, thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate that. It's been a fun day. So
Okay, we're gonna get to the core of this immediately. You just meet me for the first time on the elevator, and we've got about 6 floors that we've got to cover, and you're going to tell me about your book. So give me your
okay,
elevator pitch
okay. Do I
for
get to do I
Backwoods
get to
Crossing.
show do I have a book on hand?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, okay.
All authors have books on hand, so go ahead.
So what I tell you is that's a great point. We always do. So what I would tell you is this is a cat and mouse thriller. It's the second of the Jack Walker series, and it involves the main character, Jack, who he is aiming to solve the disappearance of his father. You learn about that early on in the first book, and he gets a lead based on an acquaintance that he knows through a former coworker. They're at a adoption party, and Jack is told about a specific, well, let's just say, way to find him or her. and
Okay, elevator doors are opening. I have to leave
elevator
now.
doors are opening, and it's a great cat and mouse thriller. And if you love CJ Box and Craig Johnson, you'll love this stuff.
Okay then. All right, all right. Bye. Thank you. I'll look up your book.
Perfect, perfect. It's right here.
And
It's right
what?
here. Why don't you take it?
Here, I was
Uh,
thinking that you're going to show a picture on your phone because, like, proud parents always have their children, but like authors should have
Yeah,
like the covers of their books on the phone as
on
well.
the
So,
phone, yeah.
absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
that's a great point. You just slide it over. You're like, yeah, this one I released last year. Yep, it's a good idea. $1 million
Yeah.
idea.
So I'm kind of curious about like the vibe or tone or like you said cat and mouse for sure, but otherwise like are there other things that readers will enjoy about this that are outside of the thriller or mystery piece?
Yeah, that's a great point. So one thing that I really, really enjoy in my writing, or at least attempt to do, is character development. And so you can see these characters, most of whom were in the first book. Steer Clear is the name, and you can see their development as they go through their trials, tribulations. It's the next year after the first book, and Jack in particular, at the beginning of the first book, is not he's not necessarily the most reliable narrator, but you want him to be a hero. You cheer for him. He's a very complicated individual. He comes from a very broken home, and he's got addiction in his family, and he's got he's got a penchant to do some dumb things at sometimes because of a lot of it is because of his background. And I just want to say very quickly, I love my parents and they're phenomenal people. So just want to get that out of the way
Okay.
since I'm
So
asked about it all the time.
it's not an autobiography.
Yes, absolutely
Okay.
not.
All right. Okay. So tell us who is Jack Walker?
Yeah, so Jack Walker is actually he's named after my brother named Jack who passed away from SIDS and my grandfather named Jack who passed away from cancer. And
Oh wow.
Jack Walker is my way of honoring them. And Jack Walker at the beginning of the first book is 26 years old. He's a former police officer. And in the second book, Backwoods Crossing, he is on the force again. He is in a small town called Fort Coris, Montana, totally fictional town. And it is the story of him and the clue with the disappearance of the father. And Jack is he's a complicated guy. He's like I said, he comes from a very difficult background, and so he can seem at times unreliable. But then there are also actions that he takes in other times where readers think to themselves, this guy's a hero, or he can be a hero, and he's inspired by a lot of the police procedural detectives, kind of guys, a little bit like the out west type vibe out there too. The first book starts in Minnesota and ends in Wyoming and Montana, and then the second book, he goes from Montana to Mississippi, where he believes this person may or may not be. And he's just a guy who seeks justice. That's what he wants. He's not he's not very good with women, as you would see. He's got a girl that he really really likes, but he doesn't know how to act in front of her, and he feels that as a way of his conditioning from when he was a child, he doesn't really know what true love is. He doesn't know, how to be in a healthy relationship. So he makes dumb decisions there. And he's also he's very, I don't know if standoffish is the right word, but he's very private. He likes his privacy. He doesn't like sharing a lot about himself. And he also lacks, because his father disappeared when he was 3 years old. He lacks a male role model, and so you can kind of tell throughout the series that he is searching for that male figure that he so wanted his entire childhood. So
Great. I'm kind of wondering, like sometimes stories speak to us, and there's like a momentum or a reason of, for writing this. I'm curious, like, what compelled you to tell this story now? Like, why this book in this moment? Is there something that compelled you?
yeah, that's a great question, Michael. I would say, so when I wrote Steer Clear, the first book, I knew I wanted it to be a series. There's a lot of I myself am sober. I've been sober 11 years, and so I wrote unreliable, addicted folks in the stories. Not Jack himself, but some of the secondary characters deal with addiction, and there's a lot of that. And so I would say that in Steer Clear and Backwoods Crossing, I do have that in mind. That my whole goal as a writer is maybe 100 years from now, somebody picks up a book and they start reading it and they say, that kind of sounds like my dad, or my sister, or somebody along those lines, and perhaps long after I'm gone off this earth, that can be my way of contributing, is having somebody say, oh, I see myself in that person, so, and I can use
Are
help.
you
So
are you a full-time author now, or do you have a day job?
I have my insurance license, but
Okay.
I don't actively sell anymore. This is what I do. 8 to 5, for lack of it, although we all know this is not an 8 to 5 job. uh,
Yeah.
uh, and I've done 35 events in the last year, and I'm pretty close to about that number now. So, and we've published 4 novels now and two children's books a couple years ago. So yes, this is my job.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive. Um,
Yes.
I mean, the obvious question is how many other books are there in this series that you are thinking further down the line? Like, is this going to be your primary series that you're going to be producing, and do you map them out far ahead, or I don't know, all those questions. Sorry, I guess that's more than one.
Yeah. No, 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 that's okay. So for the series, yes, I'm working on the third book right now, and my goal is to have that one done by about Christmas time this year. And I would say that I should say published by Christmas time. And I would say that I can see 5 or 6, being a good number, a series that we could do with Jack. I've already got ideas for 3 and 4. I don't know about the execution of 4 yet, right? That's a long time away, and people might read this and the next one and think, you should go a different direction. So, but I know for sure I have at least a couple more ideas relating to Jack Walker and his story. Yeah.
Is there something, a little introspection now? Is there
Mhm.
something that as you wrote this book um, stuck with you is making it special with respect, as opposed to other books in the genre?
Yeah, that's a great question. One thing I really, really like doing is bringing a reader over here and then saying, nope, we're going over here, right? Not in an unfocused way, but like a twist way. I love utilizing twists in books. And I know we've all been there, right? Where we're reading a book and all of a sudden it just goes for a complete loop and you're thinking to yourself, holy cow, I didn't see that coming, right?
Right.
And so a lot of my ideas actually come from twists that I think of, and then I think, well, how are we going to get there, right? And I think that's one of the cool things that can separate you and your writing is your ability to make a reader think one way and then go the other, right? And I would say that that is where I see um, a lot of the ideas in Jack Walker going just in just kind of taking you for a loop. And I don't want I've never I write thrillers, yes, but I've never wanted to write like the scary, like, oh, this is terrifying, you're not sure what's going to happen, is there a guy around the corner? That's not the kind of writer I am. But what I do want to do is I want to say, oh, it's going this way, and then all of a sudden all these people start heading in the same direction and you're thinking to yourself, how is it going to collide? And there are ideas kind of in that regard from the first book. And then there's a big one in the second book. So won't give anything away, of course, but yeah,
Yeah.
You
I,
got to buy the book.
yes.
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I'll sign a copy.
So I'm curious, especially since you've been doing so many events, and I assume you'll do more throughout the rest of the year. What
Mhm.
kind of things are you most excited to have readers discover? Like, what are the things you're looking forward to hearing
Yeah.
back from them about Backwoods Crossing?
Yeah. So I think honestly, the biggest thing would be the characters themselves. Like, how do they feel about the characters and the way that they've developed and the way that their lives are headed? I mean, there are from the beginning of the first book to the end of the second book, there are a number of secondary characters who undergo complete life changes, Um, and in the first book, it was about Jack and his coworker, Stella was her name. And in the first book, Stella, and as you begin it, she works at a pizza restaurant with Jack after he is fired from the police force, and she goes through a complete, complete emotional change. She goes from she's married, but she doesn't have the strongest marriage, right? And she and her husband are not really on the same page about a lot of things. And as the book goes on and the series goes on, you do see this change in Stella, and you're supposed to see that, right? Where she says, "Oh, maybe I have to grow up a little bit. I can't just." She has this near death experience in the first couple chapters in the first book, and she thinks to herself, I can't live like this. It's not sustainable. I'm not happy. And so these big events kind of cause these characters to rethink their lives. And uh, to be fair, the age itself is not, it's not a factor. Like you have, or excuse me, it's not discernible. Like you have folks who are older in the book and they go through life changes. You go through anybody from Jack's age to a woman in her 70s, and they all go through these big life changes. So that's what I like to do is kind of take you on that emotional ride and use the twists and turns to kind of help reshape the lives of these characters.
We've talked now a bit about Backwoods Crossing
Mhm.
and the characters, but I haven't heard you say one word about an antagonist.
Yes,
Do we
yes,
have a quasi villain or
we do.
antagonist in this book?
We do. So he is the man who everybody believes is responsible for the disappearance of Jack's father, Buck, um, from 1999. And what happens is that he is suspected in this disappearance, And the whole book, you're supposed to wonder, is he really responsible? Is he not responsible? But what he does is he finds a second life. He is able to escape from these charges and able to move to a completely different part of the country and start life over with a new name, completely new alias, new vehicle, lives in a remote cabin in the middle of the woods, works at a convenience store, goes to work, goes home, doesn't want to get caught, right? And he's 1,500 miles away from where the suspected crime took place. And his name is Russell. And of course, not based on anybody I know. And he is your main antagonist. But I would say that there were a few other characters who would qualify as kind of lesser antagonists, people who are maybe holding Jack back, who are saying, Jack, why are you searching for this person? You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get killed, and people who doubt him. Everybody looks at him and they think of him as a person whose father disappeared when he was 3 years old and somebody whose mother is and was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And so how can he be a successful person? So there are a lot of people who doubt him.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you gotta cast doubt, right? Like, it can't be black and white and super easy to figure out exactly who did it. So,
Yeah,
I
good
love
question.
that. I'm curious. I don't know. I am such a process person. I love learning more about like how the book is, how the book was written. But I guess
Yep.
kind of to get to a more specific piece, I'm curious what changed maybe most after the first draft and then in revising. Were there any major things that changed entirely, maybe, or some of those things that surprised you along the way?
Well, I will tell you one thing that I did have to change between drafts is I had to change one of the locations. And the reason that I had to do that was because there was too big of a coincidence with something I didn't even know about between a place and then a specific event that relates to the whole series that took place near that place. And I did not know
Wow.
about this until I started researching the place. And you know how when you're researching geography locations and you're thinking, well, if Jack is 20 miles from here, how long is that going to take him to drive, right? So I looked up one of these places and I found an extremely bizarre coincidence. And I had to change every location relating to that person and that character because of the coincidence. And I mean like it was so bizarre. I won't tell you exactly what it is, right? But I will tell you that one of the locations had the name of somebody or some place that I wrote before I knew that it was
Oh my
the same
gosh.
name. Yeah, and so then when I looked up this location, I was like, oh my goodness. I remember I was in my office here and I called my wife over and I was like, am I crazy? I need to change this, right? And she was like, oh yeah, you need to change that. That's too big of a
So,
coincidence.
so this is a paranormal thriller.
In a way, right?
Just in the written form.
Well,
Coincidental, right?
coincidental thriller. There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. How
Yeah.
big a part does setting? It sounds like there's a lot of travel and movement in this book. How big a part
Yes.
is setting, other
Yes.
than what you
So
just related to us, where you had to change the whole course of the book, but
yeah, 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 yeah.
geographically?
Yes, exactly. So most of the locations in Backwoods Crossing are inspired from my travels. I have been to Montana. I have been to Mississippi. I have been to Florida. I have been to places that are recognized in this book, Minnesota, obviously. And so I go different places and I will pull over off the side of the road and I'll take a picture and I'll say, I got to remember that for the next time, or, what kind of a tree is that? Get out an encyclopedia, see, oh, that's a pin oak. And that is in Mississippi, but it's not in the northern states. So kind of utilizing those geographical, whatever you want to call them, peculiarities,
Mhm.
and utilizing those and making the setting almost like a character, right? I spoke to a very successful author a couple of years ago, and he told me, he said, yeah, your setting has to be a character, right? If your setting is not a character, it's not going to be believable. If you just tell, you have to show rather than tell, you know. And so I wrote about this forest. You can see it on the cover here. I wrote about this forest. I spent a good chapter in the first book of the series talking about it, and another chapter in the second book, because I really wanted that kind of mysterious vibe to it, you know, where you're in this dark forest and it's very creepy and the trees are really tall and you can't see the property next to you. And a lot of that is based on my time in the South, specifically in Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, um, and kind of forming these forests. And
Joe,
yeah,
Joe, I just have to have a question.
yeah,
I know, and our listeners should know if they already don't, that you are an avid golfer.
yes,
So my
yes.
my my serious question is, how much of that forest scene came from you wandering in the forest looking for your golf ball?
Rob, I would be lying to you if I told you none. It has happened. It has happened. I swear it has happened.
Yeah, well,
I spent time in New England last year, and I don't know if you guys have spent much time up there, but it's absolutely beautiful and
it's
just
gorgeous.
completely dense forests and right up to the ocean, you know, and
Yeah.
I swear I was on this golf course and I'm driving around in the cart looking around and I'm taking pictures of the trees, right? I'm taking pictures of the trees because I'm like, oh, this would be a cool scene that you could write, you know?
Hmm?
Because I really do believe that the setting, especially in thrillers and mysteries and quite frankly, books that have darker material, there it is a character, you know?
Yeah. So my question, so sometimes we ask the question, what other books are on the shelf in the bookstore with your book?
Mhm.
But I'm going to
Mhm.
ask it in a slightly different version, which is I used to teach, and so part of teaching was assembling, a syllabus, which were books that were somehow thematically connected or whatever. And so I'm wondering if you were to put your book, Backwoods Crossing, up, in a class, what other books are you going to connect to it? And maybe it is around setting is kind of what I was picking up
Mhm.
there and wondering about. But are
Mhm.
there some other books that you would imagine would work together as a pairing with yours?
It's a great question. I would say yes, setting is big into it, and the police aspect of it is very big. Um, I I like to tell folks, authors like C.J. Box, Craig Johnson, William Kent Kruger, who are so good at creating these vivid settings, right? I don't know if you guys have read much of their work, but it
I have.
is it's really inspiring, right? I mean, you can picture exactly. I mean, I just read the other day a Craig Johnson book, and he does the Longmire books, and his setting is the plains in Wyoming, right? And then you have all these other authors like C.J. Box, for example, who does Wyoming, but a completely different part of Wyoming. It's not the plains in his
Sure.
books, you know,
Yeah.
it's the mountains. So I really admire, and I think that Backwoods Crossing fits with those, you know, like the ones that are so setting driven. There are a lot of psychological. I love a good psychological thriller. I really, really do, right? But there are some where I read them and I think to myself, okay, I'm in New York City, but I can't really visualize it. You know, I can't read it because all it says is the Manhattan skyline, you know, loomed over. And I'm like, okay, you know, I don't really get the sense of it. I mean, are we supposed to imply, like, say, oh, we know for sure what that looks like, and use um, our knowledge of past books and television shows and whatnot, or do we talk about the poplar trees and the dogwood trees, you know, and the I can't think of what it's called. Ah, darn it. the pine straw at the bottom of those trees.
Oh, sure.
And so I really would put Backwoods Crossing with those that lean in heavily on their setting, and I attempt to show rather than just tell. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but that's the goal, is showing rather than telling. So
So where do the readers, where do the book buyers find Backwoods Crossing? I
yep.
want to, I'm out of the elevator now and I'm going to look for a bookstore to buy your book. Where am I going to find it?
Yes, I convinced you. Awesome. Uh, Good question, Rob. My answer would be that you can find them on my website, www.joeeganbooks.com. And I have a whole list of all 6 of the books that I've written, and you can purchase them there. I will sign any copy. I will not sign a copy if you want me not to. And I'm also in a few scores of bookstores around the country. I think we're up to about 20 states or so that our books are in, which is fantastic.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's phenomenal. I'm very, very proud of the work that we're doing. And yeah, you can find it on all the national outlets as well. And yeah, a lot of independent bookstores, pretty much anywhere I've visited and been. Yeah, you can get ebooks too. I haven't done the Backwoods Crossing audiobook yet, but I did narrate the Steer Clear audiobook. And that was really fun. And I'm looking forward to doing that again for Backwoods Crossing. So yeah.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, if
Thank you.
if they were going to run into you someplace, where are some places that you're going to pop up for events happening for the rest of the year? Because then
Yeah,
they could get it signed from the person right there and ask you questions if they wanted to.
that's true. That's very true. I will be in Knoxville, Tennessee this Friday at the Knoxville Book Festival. And then I'm at a book festival in Appleton, Wisconsin later in May. Another book festival in Minnesota in July, and then I'm in Columbus, Ohio in July at the Columbus Book Festival, and then a few independent bookstores in between as well.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's going to be a good year. We're very excited about it. We went to Colorado a couple months ago and Wyoming and did 4 signings out there, and Texas. I did Texas last year, Dallas. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anywhere else. Of course, I'll stop talking to you guys and I'll remember exactly where I'm at every day,
Well,
right?
we'll
But
we'll save everyone the trouble, and we'll actually include the link. I'm sure you have your
oh,
events on
you're
your
too nice.
webpage, so
Thank
we'll
you.
make sure that's there so everybody can find you and wherever they're at, apparently. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I'll
I love it.
come to you. I mean, I've gotten on a plane a couple times to do book clubs, so I'll go anywhere.
I'm
I'm a
serious
traveler, and
about this.
and as Rob knows, I will find the links while I'm out there at the golf course. So
So how many states are left that you haven't covered, Joe?
I've got 17 left, and
17 left, or you
in the
haven't played
next
golf yet.
yes, that's correct. I've
Okay.
played in
Okay.
33, and in the next couple weeks, we're going to check off 2 more. So
Okay.
it's very,
So
very exciting.
are you ever going to write a book, a thriller on the
Yes,
golf course?
yes, I will for sure, for
Okay.
sure.
All right.
Just based on the culmination of everything I've written and my goal to perhaps inspire somebody down the road who might be addicted to substances, or somebody that they know might be addicted to substances. I've always had this idea in my head about a man who is good enough to play professionally, but he can't get sober, and so that's his
Oh,
issue. So
okay.
yep.
All right. So, title.
Who? It's a great question. I'll keep you posted. I'll
I
have a
mean,
good
Okay.
one for you.
there could be something like Green Jacket or
Yes,
Lynx or
yes.
um, yeah, I mean, any one of those like Play 9 or Play Through, maybe. I don't know.
Or,
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
or,
good one.
or
That's a good one.
four, you're dead.
Before you're dead.
Oh, yeah, before you're dead.
That's
All right.
funny. That's funny. But
Anyways, Joe, it's
uh,
been a pleasure. Thanks.
oh, Rob and Michael, thank you so much.
Good luck with Backwoods Crossing. Good luck with all your events. And I'm impressed with the schedule you keep and the ability to write at the same time. So thanks for being on, fresh from the stacks tonight.
Thank you. And I just want to say, Rob and Michael, thank you for everything you're doing. Everything at Bell Cow is just amazing. It's great. I love how you promote Minnesota authors. It's just fantastic, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Well,
We're
thanks so
proud.
much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
the accolades as well. And yeah, like I said, we'll include the links so everyone can find where you're at and where to find your books as well. And again, congratulations. Happy
Thank
book
you.
day. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.